You deeds, Oren here. Welcome to another Fridge Magnet Power Rankings video. So if Kansas City wound up winning in that game against Philadelphia, then I would have had to have a lot to have figured out with the top four there, because a lot of those teams beat each other, and it'd be like a four-way ring around the rosy. But thankfully for that instance, the Eagles won, even though I was hoping the Chiefs won, because then that means the Eagles and Lions would have been tied for first place, even though the Eagles would have won that tiebreaker. But the Eagles won, and they still remain at the top of the NFC. But anyways, I digress, and I'm already talking about this team. So Eagles number one. Yeah, they had their Super Bowl revenge against the Chiefs, yesterday, and they started off looking like that game was a stalemate kind of, and then the Chiefs kind of took the lead and were in control a little bit, and then Devonta Smith showed up and became a real MVP for the Eagles. Had that huge reception there, which led to their tush push brotherly shove touchdown, and then from there the Eagles were in control, and then they had some issues with their offensive line against that team, but they got the job done, and they remained the team with the best record in the whole NFL. And Devonta Smith had 6 receptions and 99 yards in that game. So, and then number 2, I still have the Baltimore Ravens there. So yes, I know they lost on a game-winning field goal to the Cleveland Browns a couple weeks ago, but division games, anything is possible, anything can happen, and they remain to be one of the most complete teams in the NFL, even though they lost tight end Mark Andrews for the season. But in that game against the Bengals, who some say is a good team, they had Lamar Jackson, who had 264 yards with 2 touchdowns, as well as Odell Beckham Jr., who's been making some noise as well with 4 receptions and 116 yards. One of the best offensive teams, one of the best defensive teams, and an all-around complete team when they are healthy. And the injuries look like they're starting to come back and creep up and bite them again. So, but they are still a very dangerous team, especially if you're playing them on their home field, and if you're an NFC team trying to play them. Number 3, I have the Detroit Lions. Yes, I said I was going to drop them in the power rankings after almost losing to the Chicago Bears, one of the worst teams in the NFL. But I guess I changed my mind based on the stuff with the rest of the teams there. But Jared Goff threw 3 interceptions. The Lions had 4 turnovers total against the Bears. So you never like to see that. But luckily, in their 2-minute drills at the end of the first half and at the end of the game, they were able to get business done. That's when they looked like they were at their best. And, great teams find a way to dig themselves out of holes, even though you don't want to see them get in the holes. But credit the Chicago Bears, because they have a good rushing game with all their running backs being healthy, as well as a great rushing defense. And the Lions do like to run the ball, and they themselves pride themselves on having one of the top rushing defenses in the NFL. But the Lions have a lot to clean up if they want to continue to be successful in the future, especially on a short week with the Thanksgiving game coming up against the Green Bay Packers. So, number 4, I decided to put the San Francisco 49ers there. And one thing I forgot to mention, with these power rankings from now on, I'm factoring in significantly recency biased and winning streaks and that sort of stuff. And I think we're at the point where everybody's forgetting about San Francisco's 3-game losing streak, because they just recently smoked some teams, including the Jacksonville Jaguars and especially the Buccaneers, where they won 27-14. Brock Purdy had a perfect game in terms of quarterback rating. Apparently, he threw for 333 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Christian McCaffrey had 21 carries for 78 yards. And Brandon Ayuk had 5 receptions, 156 yards, and a touchdown.
Studies show that up to 90
Excuse me. And yeah, I think the 49ers remain one of the elite teams to beat in the NFC. And um, anytime you put out the Dallas Cowboys the way you did earlier in the year, then you're always going to be a team to be threatened with, whether or not you have a losing streak or not. And they'll be have their chance to play against the Eagles in the NFC soon, and they'll have a chance to establish their dominance against the team with the best record in the NFL. So looking forward to that one for sure. And then number 5, I got the Cleveland Browns. Yes, I still have them in the top 5. So even though they lost Deshaun Watson and now they have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR in the starting quarterback, I believe they still deserve to be there. They have the top defense in the NFL. Even though they have a bunch of injuries to key players on offense, Nick Chubb still remains out for the season, as well as Deshaun Watson now. And then I think one of their offensive tackles, but they just gritted out a win against division rival Steelers, whom you never know if they're going to win or lose on any given day. But DTR had 165 yards and 1 interception in that game, while Moore had 6 receptions for 60 yards. So don't count out the Browns. And that division is anybody's game. But right now, the Browns look like they're making some noise. Number 6, Kansas City Chiefs. I was going to put the Chiefs at number 1 if they had beaten the Eagles, but they didn't. I felt like the defensive line for the Chiefs was really impressive against a team with an offensive line like the Eagles, especially Chris Jones, who had multiple sacks in that game. And the Chiefs, their identity this year is defense, because usually they're just the team that has the best offense and then a mid defense, but now they have a mid offense and a great defense. And yes, the Chiefs do have problems with their wide receivers with catching the ball, and that was continues to be the case during that primetime Monday Night Football game against the Eagles. But Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce. So they're still one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL, and they're still worthy of the title of defending Super Bowl champions. So even though they are 7-3 now, but still atop their division. So Patrick Mahomes at 177 yards in that game with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Isaiah Pacheco, who I think is underrated. Everybody should keep watching out for this running back. 19 carries for 89 yards. So yeah. Number 7, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I know we like to talk about them choking the playoffs. I know we like to give them a bunch of crap because their fan base is subjectively delusional. But the Cowboys have one of the best offenses, one of the best defenses in the NFL. They often win in blowout fashion, somewhat like what they did against their opponent this week, which was the Panthers, the worst team in the NFL right now. So they won 33-10. Dak Prescott, 189 yards with 2 touchdowns, and Tony Pollard with 12 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown. So if they weren't playing in a division with the Eagles, they would probably be like the Green Bay Packers were for several years and just run their division for several years. But that is not the case anymore. And the Cowboys remain a team that everybody has to watch out for. So, cut out the losses against the teams like the Cardinals, and then I think you are a top team in the NFL. But let's see if your record can catch up and get you going there. Number 8, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins remain to be the team that has the top best offensive team in the NFL. They still got Tua, who could be a comeback player of the year candidate or an MVP candidate. Who knows there? They got Tyreek Hill, who's been lighting it up still, as well as Jalen Waddle. And then not only that, but Raheem Mostert. So Tunga Vailoa, hey, they defeated the Raiders, who have become a better team than a worse team. 325 yards for Tua, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Raheem Mostert, 22 carries, 86 yards. Tyreek Hill, 10 receptions, 146 yards, 1 touchdown in that game. So the Eagles the Dolphins, they continue to take care of business, and they are a team whose offense people do not want to face. And at this point, I think the division they play in, the AFC East, is theirs to lose. And then number 9 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They recently got blown out by the 49ers, but there was a pick 6 that San Francisco got against Jacksonville on that game, and Trevor Lawrence was the one who was really trying to chase him down and try to tackle him in the end zone. So the fact that your quarterback is doing that shows you guys got a quarterback that has a lot of good heart, in my opinion, there. So I'm just trying to find their stats here. Here we go. They smashed the Tennessee Titans 34-14, a division rival, with Trevor Lawrence, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns. Travis Etienne, no, not the letters Etienne, but Etienne. He had 14 carries for 52 yards, while Ridley for Jacksonville had 7 receptions, 103 yards, and 2 touchdown receptions in that game. So Jacksonville's one of the best teams in the AFC. They're probably going to win their division, and kind of watch out for them. But I still think the Detroit Lions are better than them, and I'm sticking by that opinion until I'm proven wrong. And then number 10, bit of a surprise, but I did say I'm factoring recency bias into this. You got, and the record has to catch up, but I think they deserve some recognition. You got none other than the Denver Broncos. They're on the longest winning streak in the NFL, and at 4 games, and do they deserve it? And they've had some come from behind wins on primetime. One against the Buffalo Bills, which got their head coach, the Bills offensive coordinator, fired, and then they just had a come from behind win against the Minnesota Vikings, who they themselves were a hot team for a while there. But yeah, in that game against the Vikings, Russell Wilson, 259 yards with 1 touchdown, and Cameron Sutton had 4 receptions, 66 yards, and 1 touchdown. Sutton is the one wide receiver who tends to catch a lot of touchdown passes. So Sean Payton is coaching the team. So anything he does, anything is possible with any team that Payton coaches. And the Broncos, I think they're that team that had their kinks at the start of the season, but now they're starting to turn stuff around, kind of like what the Lions were last season. So I think the Broncos could be something here. They could be relevant down the stretch, and they're one of the teams, trap game type of teams, I'm afraid that the Lions might lose. I actually had them predicting that the Lions would lose a trap game to the Broncos in my preseason video, but I'm at this point I don't think the Lions should lose against the Broncos, but anything's possible. But Broncos are definitely stepping up lately. So anyway, to recap, number 1 is the Eagles, number 2 is the Ravens, number 3 is the Lions, number 4 is the 49ers, number 5 is the Browns, number 6 is the Chiefs, number 7 Cowboys, number 8 Dolphins, number 9 Ravens, number 10 Broncos. So feel free to let me know in the comments your opinions, thoughts, opinions, agree, disagree, let me know. And then until next time, too early in the morning for catch up. Go Lions, one pride.